All right, those are the 1 o'clock games. Let's move on to the 4 o'clock games. We're going to start with Dolphins-Niners, 4:05 p.m. Eastern. This pops off. And let's see what we are being dealt with. Frisco opening up a -8 or 8.5, and no total available. Let's see if I can get a total anywhere else. Just go to these licensed books and see if they're going to give us a.
Garoppolo's a big question mark this week. That's why you're probably not going to get a total until you find out if he's playing.
And my instinct, there's no total anywhere. I think he's going to play.
I do too. They even said last week there was a chance he could play, but because Mullins played so well against the Giants, they're like, no, it's not a big deal if he doesn't. Well, that bit them in the ass pretty hard.
Yeah, and Birdie talked about, second game off of a major injury, or not major injury like season ending, but major to your team. Okay, Dolphins coming off 31-23 loss at home to the Seahawks. And I was pretty upset about Flores. I think that when you're playing a team like the Seahawks and you're in the red zone and it's 4th and 3, I think the numbers have told us the Seahawks are going to put up a certain amount of points. And their defense is not very good. And you have to go for 6. You have to put your balls on the table and be a man. And it's the first time where I've really been quite upset and been certain that Flores was wrong. It's the first time, and I like him, but come on. Cornerback Byron Jones, safety Kevon Frazier, defensive end Shaq Lawson, questionable. Flores said that Lawson is expected to be good, so Flores expects him to be in the lineup. Fitzy goes 29-45, 315 yards, but threw 2 picks. He rushed for a touchdown. He was their leading rusher. There's something about when you are the coach and you say, look, I believe in this offense. And you're not always going to be right. But if you're right in those situations 56% of the time, then you're going to succeed more than if you're this passive-aggressive little bitch that Flores was by not going for it. It really upset me. Niners are coming off their first loss of the season, 25-20 at home to the Eagles. Mullins goes 18 for 26.
Second loss.
Oh, sorry.
Second loss.
Yeah, because they're 0-2 at home. I don't know why
they're 0-2 at home.
Mullins, 18 for 26, 20 yards, was replaced by Beathard. Mullins, 3 turnovers. It did not look good. Kittle goes 15 for 183 yards. Zeke Ansah leaves the game in the first half with a biceps injury. Is that season ending?
Yeah, he's done. And on top of it, K'Wan Williams is on the IR now. So the Niners are, if you're keeping score at home, out. Richard Sherman, they're saying he's not going to play. K'Wan Williams, who is an incredibly underrated slot corner, he is out. Witherspoon and Mosley are still questionable, as is Dante Johnson. I don't know who's going to play corner for the Niners right now, let alone quarterback. So,
okay, let's talk about 2 different possibilities. The first one, okay, if Jimmy G doesn't come back, who starts at quarterback in your estimation?
I don't know how you put Nick Mullins back in after that performance. He lost that game. The O-line didn't give him any help. He was pressured all game. But that pick 6 he threw, if you were watching that, he had a clean pocket, and he threw it directly at I forget his name. He's the guy who used to play in the CFL. That long-haired, hippie-looking fella on the he's like Philly's like 4th-string running or middle linebacker. He threw it right into his chest. There wasn't even a receiver in the area. It's maybe the worst pass I've ever seen in the NFL. So I can't see Mullins playing again this week, especially because, of course, Beathard's coming in against a prevent defense, so he could move the ball. But man, was Mullins just terrible this week.
So do you think the move is, if Jimmy G's in, to make a move on the Dolphins? because you'll get a better line than the 7.5 or 8 that is possibly available at some offshores right now?
I think there is no play. Yes, if there is a play, that's it. But I really think Jimmy G plays because this is a crucial game. Now the Niners are not staring at winning this division. They're staring at getting some parts back and maybe getting into a wild card position. But I think they rushed Jimmy G back. I think, especially given the fact that he was questionable last week, that he comes in. But there's so many question marks with this Niners team right now. There's just so many guys that are on injured reserve or they're questionable for this week. Shanahan said with Sherman coming off IR, he's probably not going to play. He also said Mostert probably isn't going to play. Now, the other factor in this game was if Philly has something that's going for them, it's their defensive line. They have a lot of talent on the defensive line, and they gave a ton of problems to this Niners offensive line, which is one of the healthier groups as far as their injury list goes. And they played terrible. They collapsed. Even Trent Williams, who is an absolute beast, had the worst game I've ever seen him play. So I think the Niners are going to tough out a win here. I think if there is a play, it's Miami. I don't think you play this game. I think you just stay far, far away from it.
Well, if there's a bunch of books that have put up 8.5 points on the board. I mean,
I was amazed that it opened at that, especially with the uncertainty at quarterback. You know, one of the biggest things about – because Philadelphia was injured last week too. And, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, well, Niners are missing all these guys. And then people are like, well, Philly's missing all these guys. But Philly had their starting quarterback, and that ended up being the difference in this game. It was an ugly game. It was a game the Niners should have rolled in, and they clearly didn't. They came out flat. Nick Mullins played just atrociously. The offensive line didn't give him any help. The Niners offensive line did not create any pressure, but there's just so many injuries on both of those teams. It's hard to guess.
I agree with the guys. Miami or no play, and I would like Miami at 8.5 points. I do not think that's going to be widely available. And if Jimmy G comes in, I don't even see how we could get more than that. If Jimmy G comes in, is there a 9 available? I'd be surprised. And I guess we can't really make sound calls on the total until we know who is going to be behind center.
For all the noise that surrounds Jimmy G about, you know, being a system quarterback, that the only reason he looks good ever is because of Shanahan's system. Well, Shanahan is 22-7 with Jimmy G at quarterback, and 5-20 over the same stretch when he's out. How can you look at that number and continue to argue that point?
Oh, I've never hated on Jimmy G, and I believe in the guy. Alrighty, Dolphins Niners. But in saying that, at this point, I don't really care who's the quarterback. I think the Dolphins are the play.
Well, it's Dolphins or nothing for me, but I do believe that if Jimmy comes back in, you could see a bit of a rallying cry with them. Sure. Look, even a backup Niners team is still a good team, but they need to start getting some reinforcements, and some of them could come this week. I'm thinking next week and going into that real tough part of their schedule, they will start getting most of them back. But, you know, you've got a lot of important guys out for a long time.